Noon program. I'm Keesley.
And I'm Kendra Cook. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news. Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
Here at the News at Noon show, we assemble the best and most interesting news we can find, and Jerry Tope brings you the local weather and related news. Give us a call with news tips or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
We're glad you tuned in to watch DCTV. Today's show is live on Monday at noon and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired on Thursday at noon, 2:30 and 6.
Coming up, road construction, Dolores Shop and Senior Center progress, pot plant limits, and more.
And also another local overdose, murder case updates, another local lake boat ban with weather, the sheriff's report, and area happenings. Today is March 13th, 2017, and now the news at noon. According to the Cortez Journal, another phase of construction at the intersection of U.S. Highway 491 and Lebanon Road will begin today, Monday, March 13th, and will require some lane closures. This, according to a press release from the Colorado Department of Transportation. Construction scheduled over the next 2 weeks includes placing concrete in the center median islands of US 491 and at the intersection of Lebanon Road, seeding and mulching any disturbed areas throughout the project, sealing the joints in the new concrete pavement, and final highway striping throughout the project limits. CDOT anticipates that all work on the project will be completed by the end of March, according to the release. Daily traffic control will be utilized to complete the remaining work. Some lanes will be closed temporarily during the day, but traffic will return to its normal configuration at the end of each workday. This construction is one phase of a $7.5 million project that involved relocation of utilities, replacing a portion of the storm sewer system, construction of new median islands and street lighting, and repaving about a mile of Highway 491 with 8 inches of concrete pavement. The paving provides a new roadway with a 20 to 30-year road life. The project also included the realignment of Lebanon Road with Highway 491 to improve sight distance and project turning onto and off of the roadway. The project started in May of 2016. To receive project information and lane closure updates on state highways in the area of your choice, or to see CDOT's lane closure reports for projects statewide, visit CDOT's website at codot.gov.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, a woman was taken to Southwest Memorial Hospital early last Wednesday morning after a reported overdose. Montezuma County Sheriff deputies responded at 12:46 a.m. to a reported overdose at the 33,000 block of County Road M. A woman said she had taken between 10 to 20 pills of an unknown description and had been drinking alcohol all day. Paramedics arrived to transport her to the hospital just before 1:30 a.m. When deputies arrived, the woman was conscious but had apparently vomited into the kitchen sink. When asked if she had taken the pills in order to hurt herself, she would only respond, "I am tired," according to responding deputies. A man was also in the house at the time. A Cortez woman was taken to the hospital on Saturday morning after reportedly overdosing on methamphetamines.
Nunn Construction is making visual progress on the new county shop building while the groundwork continues over at the Senior Center here in Dove Creek. There are quite a few updates from the March 4th and 11th weekend reviews provided by Nunn Construction. The Public Service Center and shop metal framing continued on the shop. Electrical subs continue to work on PSC rough-in. Steel roof beams have been installed with purlins going up to support the roofing. Plumbers installed site utilities and PSC piping. They are also on site to begin site utilities and start plumbing work in areas connecting the office to the shop. As the masons arrived March 6th, the masonry block wall is now being set and grouted in between the shop and office. The sand and oil interceptor was delivered and set and is being connected to the building's plumbing system. Over at the Senior Center, Dolores County is bringing up the building pad. Preparation for footings and wall stems commenced as weather permitted. All testing has proved successful, allowing the construction process to continue. And here's what's coming up next at the Public Service Center and shop. Metal framing will continue on the roof and walls of the shop in preparation for sheeting. Sheeting on the office area is nearing completion and will enable the completion of interior construction. Electrical subs will continue working on the PSC rough-in. Plumbers continue installing site utilities and PSC piping, while the masons are building the CMU wall for the common wall before moving on to other areas. Site utilities are being installed and will continue with Dolores County's trenching. At the Senior Center, Dolores County County is placing the fill material to elevate the building pad. The county will begin preparation for footings and stem walls once the pad is complete. Right now, subcontractors on site include Dolores County, Nichols Electric, Cruzan Construction, Foster Plumbing, Beatty Masonry, and of course, Nunn Construction. Coming on site soon are Farmington Heating and Air and TP Acoustics. The projected completion of both projects is still on schedule for late summer and early fall of 2017.
According to the Cortez Journal, a judge expects to rule in coming days on motions argued Thursday in district court involving one of 4 men suspected in the murder of a Fort Lewis College student. Defense lawyers filed the motions in the case of Cody Maz E. Quatley, 20, who is charged with first-degree murder in the death of Samuel Zarius Gordon, 20. One motion seeks to move the trial to another jurisdiction, claiming there is too much pre-trial publicity to find a fair and impartial jury in Durango. Another seeks additional evidence and documents from prosecutors and law enforcement. 2 more motions seek to suppress statements made by Quatley and evidence collected by law enforcement based on the legality of investigative procedures. More specifically, Durango defense lawyers David Greenberg and Ingrid Alt said police had no right to stop a Nissan Altima being driven by Quatley at 3:45 a.m. May 24th on Jenkins Ranch Road in the Skyridge subdivision, where Gordon was shot once in the abdomen. Police responded to the neighborhood with limited information. They knew there had been a shooting and the suspect was a black man, but they didn't have a clothing description, vehicle description, or know there were multiple suspects, Greenberg said. It's a heavily populated neighborhood, he said, and people have a right to be on the road without being stopped by police, even late at night. Several officers testified there were no other cars on the road. There is only one way in and one way out of the Skyridge subdivision. They encountered the Nissan Altima in a roundabout just south of 253 Jenkins Ranch Road, where the shooting occurred. There were 4 men inside the car, including a black man. One officer testified he would have stopped the same car if it had 4 little old ladies inside, considering the time of night, its location, and what had happened. Officers detained the men while gathering details from witnesses inside the house. They soon learned there were multiple suspects, including one who wore a red bandana. An officer shined his flashlight in the back seat of the car and saw a red bandana and a handgun on the floorboard behind the driver's seat. After that, police arrested all 4 men. Assistant District Attorney David Ottman said police had reasonable suspicion to stop the car and, considering the bandana and gun, probable cause to make an arrest.
In today's marijuana moment, according to the Cortez Journal, Colorado is moving to curb the nation's most generous marijuana allowance for medical patients growing their own plants. The State House gave preliminary approval Friday to a bill limiting marijuana patients to 16 plants in their homes, down from 99. The measure aims to make it harder to grow pot outside the taxed and regulated commercial pot system. Colorado regulators have tried for years to stop people from growing large amounts of pot without state taxation or oversight. But because Colorado's Constitution gives people the right to grow as much pot as their doctors recommend, the state has had a hard time making that happen. This year's effort would say that marijuana patients can't have more than 16 plants in a residential property. The change would force those patients to either move to an industrial or agricultural area or shop at a dispensary. Of the 28 states with legal medical marijuana, none but Colorado currently allows more than 16 pot plants per home. Many Colorado jurisdictions, including Denver, already have per-home plant limits, usually at 12. But the lack of a statewide limit makes it difficult for police to distinguish between legitimate patients and fronts for black market weed, bill supporters argued on Friday. Marijuana patients have been flooding lawmakers with complaints about the bill, which was introduced just last week. The first hearing on the measure lasted until near midnight. Lawmakers softened the bill by raising its original limit from 12 plants to 16 and by saying that patients caught with too much pot in the house would face a petty offense and felony charges only later. But those changes weren't enough for some Democrats, who argued in vain that it shouldn't be a felony until the 3rd offense to have too much pot in the home. They argued that the limits won't hurt criminal drug operations, which could simply grow their plants in areas that aren't zoned residential. A lot of patients are on fixed incomes. They're ill, said Representative Adrienne Benavides, Democrat from Commerce City. Cartels have the money to go rent warehouses. The resistance effort even brought one lawmaker to tears. Representative Steve Lebsock, Democrat from Thornton, held a stack of patients' letters and said the change would hurt people who can't afford to shop in dispensaries. But Republicans sided with other Democrats to prevail on an unrecorded voice vote. The bill faces one more formal vote next week before heading to the Senate, where its prospects are strong. A companion bill to give law enforcement more money to sniff out illegal pot growers is awaiting a House vote on Monday. Governor John Hickenlooper backs the plant crackdown and has called on lawmakers to send him a statewide limit.
According to the Cortez Journal report, the Lake Totten closure follows a boating ban on Narragansett Reservoir enacted last week by the privately owned Montezuma Valley Irrigation Company, which also cited the mussel threat. To prevent a mussel contamination and to be consistent with MVCI's decision, the board voted to prohibit all boating on Totten, said DWCD General Manager Mike Preston. The boating ban on the two lakes is for all non-motorized and motorized and includes kayaks, canoes, stand-up boards, windsurfers, or boats, rafts, and jet skis. Fishing at the popular lake will be allowed from the shore. There was a lot of debate on our board about possible exceptions, but the board decided that to be clear and best protect our irrigators, the ban will be to all boating, said MVIC manager Brandon Johnson. A boating closure order for Totten is being drawn up in cooperation with the Colorado Parks and Wildlife, which manages the fishery. A locked gate on the boat ramp will be installed soon. Narragansett already has a locked gate installed. Violators at Totten and Narragansett will be issued tickets by Parks and Wildlife and the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office. Boat inspection stations are effective at preventing a mussel contamination in lakes, but there is no funding for inspection stations at Totten or Narragansett. So managers say their only option is to either close them to boating because the contamination risk is too great. The Dolores Water Conservancy District is also tightening up boating access on McPhee this year to better prevent the mussels from entering the regional irrigation reservoir. And now here's our weather report.
Winds from the northwest will continue through the day and shift to the northeast after midnight. Tomorrow they will be from the west, and Wednesday will move to the southeast. Mostly sunny today, with temperatures expected to reach 15 degrees above seasonal norms today, and tomorrow will be near record levels for this season. That temperature pattern will stay in place through Saturday, so each afternoon will be awesome. The caveat is that spring runoff should show visible rising by the end of the week, so watch for that if you're out hiking. While it feels like spring here in Doe Creek country and the great Southwest, much of the rest of the country continues to feel wintry in spite of mid-March. A large high-pressure ridge over south-central Canada is sprawling southward into the central and eastern U.S., supplying January-like temperatures through the middle of the work week. Afternoon highs are expected to be on the order of 15 to 30 degrees below normal, from the northern plains to the mid-Atlantic region, and the possibility of some record lows. Interestingly, for the East Coast, beginning Monday night, a low-pressure system crossing the Midwest states and Ohio Valley is expected to meld with another low off the southeast U.S. coast. This will allow a strong nor'easter to develop near the East Coast. This will cause a late-season snowstorm from the central Appalachians to New England and many of the big cities in the northeast U.S. Widespread winter storm warnings are now in effect for heavy snowfall accumulations, with some areas likely getting in excess of a foot from eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. The tricky area is the rain and snow line over the mid-Atlantic region. Accumulating snow is expected near the greater Washington, D.C. metro area. Closer to the coast, from southern New Jersey to the Carolinas, rain is expected with amounts in excess of an inch likely. The lower elevations of the desert southwest could reach temperatures in the lower 90s for the next few days in that upper level, with that upper level ridge in place. Onshore flow across the Pacific Northwest will keep scattered showers around with snow in the Cascades and northern Rockies. In our 5-day forecast, look at the numbers for this week. No image yet. Temperatures in the low 70s are expected for the rest of this week, and no nights below freezing, at least in the west end and lower elevations of the county. Enjoy spring while it lasts. Now back to the news.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, if an attempt was made to undo the 1.3 million acre monument or reduce its size, environmentalists and Native American tribes said they would put up a fight to stop it. It is time to address the elephant in the room and discuss the possibility of the monument being undesignated or shrunk, said moderator Carl Runtree to scattered boos from a crowd of about 300. Newly appointed Interior Secretary Ryan Zink has told anti-monument Utah politicians that one of his first plans was to visit the state to discuss Bears Ears. I'm looking forward to working with Zink, and he will be here in the very near term, said Utah BLM Director Ed Robertson. We're waiting to hear from him and the administration that the monument stands. Then hiring a monument manager will be one of the first actions. John Ruppel, an attorney with the Wallace Stegner Center, said no monument has ever been overturned since the 1906 Antiquities Act authorized them, but a few have been significantly reduced in size. If they were to go down that road, it is a very difficult path, he said. The Supreme Court has upheld them. Ruppel said overturning or shrinking a monument would have to pass a 2-part legal test. Did the president identify objects of scientific and historical interest, and did he designate the smallest boundary necessary to protect those resources? If the answer is yes, then it is on solid legal ground. He said the fastest time a monument was reduced was 3 years. If one was drastically reduced, it would likely face a legal challenge if resources identified in the monument proclamation were put at risk. Lawyers said that nothing in the Antiquities Act speaks to undoing monuments, and no president has ever tried to completely nullify one.
7.37, and 10 years back it was 383.47. Just as I'm beginning to enjoy this weather, and maybe you too are enjoying an early clean spring cleaning, this early warm spring may feel good and ease the expenses of late winter heating bills. Apparently the maple tree is too happy. Yet another sign of the troubling effects of global warming. The maple syrup industry has announced a possible looming shortage. Farmers say maple tree sap has flowed too early this year thanks to an unusually warm winter. This could lead to a shortage. The unusually warm weather this February and March has caused the sap to flow earlier than normal. Farmers in Pennsylvania say that although a spate of warm weather isn't necessarily a death sentence for maple syrup, there could be a serious issue unless things cool down quickly. The ideal formula for continually flowing sap is below freezing nights and warmer days. Recent evenings just haven't gotten cold enough. This is the second year in a row that sap has flowed as early as January for farmers. For the sap to keep running, we need warm days followed by cold nights below freezing. This drives the sap down and keeps the trees from budding. Don Hess, a maple syrup producer at Duck's Maple Farm in Pennsylvania's Fayette County, told the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette that if it doesn't get cold again, I'm done. If cold weather doesn't return, sap collection season could end unusually early. The effects of any shortage could trickle down to consumers, especially considering demand for maple syrup has gone up over the past decade. So when you rush out to buy a jar, or better yet a jug, please send me one. My waffles love that stuff.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, the Colorado Department of Transportation, Colorado State Patrol, and local law enforcement agencies will conduct the Heat is On DUI enforcement from Friday to March 20th to keep Colorado roads safe from impaired drivers through St. Patrick's Day celebrations. Statewide, 88 law enforcement agencies will participate in the DUI crackdown for alcohol and drugs. Last year, 106 Colorado law enforcement agencies arrested 455 motorists during the St. Patrick's Day enforcement period. First-time DUI offenders can be punished with up to 1 year in jail, license suspension, and steep fines. Penalties increase for repeat offenders. For more information and tips for staying safe on the road, visit www.heatisoncolorado.com.
Reported in the Cortez Journal, the 8th annual Mancos Melt Golf Tournament will once again welcome the beginning of spring on March 18th. This year's theme is Circus Circus, and the proceeds will benefit the Mancos School of the West, which organizes art classes for residents of the Mancos Valley and surrounding areas. Everybody will dress in a circus costume, and we will have judges that do the costume contest, event organizer Rena Wilson said. Tickets are $40 for a two-person team. People can pre-register for the event at Fahrenheit Coffee Roasters. On the day of the tournament, last-minute registration will take place at Columbine Bar until 12 p.m., and the tournament play will start at 1. Prizes will be awarded at Columbine after the tournament at 4:30 p.m. The grand prize will be a round of golf at Conquistador Golf Course in Cortez. Prizes also will be awarded for the best costume and best golf hole design, she said. There will be 18 golf holes placed at different businesses and locations around town. Teams will travel to the locations to make their way through the course. Last year, the Mancos Melt Tournament raised $700 for the Painted Turtle Studios Children's Scholarship Fund. We try to help the local nonprofits, Wilson said. Wilson is looking for anyone else who is interested in helping organize the Mancos Melt events. The Melt used to be a 4-day event with a bed race, fashion show, food and wine tastings, and a costume contest. For the past 2 years, it has been a 1-day golf tournament event. Narrowing it down to the most popular event concentrates the efforts to celebrate spring and raise some money for good causes.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of March 6th through the 12th. The Dove Creek Volunteer Fire Department, Pleasant View Fire Department, Dove Creek Volunteer Ambulance, and county staff reported to a structural fire in Cajon. The structure had severe damage, but there were no injuries from the incident. A deputy responded to a report of domestic abuse in Rico. This resulted in the arrest of Malachi Butler on charges of false imprisonment, unlawful sexual contact, in addition to other charges. Mr. Butler was transported to Montezuma County Detention Center without incident. That's it for today's roundup. Stay tuned for continuing updates.
For today's High Country Happenings, March 16th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. is the 24th Annual Four Corners Weeds Symposium, Invasive Agricultural Weeds. This will be held at the Four Corners State Ag Expo in Cortez at the fairgrounds. Registration must be received by today, March 13th. It costs $15. Topics to include core CECs, herbicide resistance, NMDA and CDA regulation updates, invasive rangeland plants, and industrial ROW. Guest speakers will present from CSU and NMSU. For more details, call 970-382-6465. Empire Electric's annual refrigerator freezer recycling event in celebration of Earth Day will be run April 17th through the 22nd, 2017. A 2017 certificate is required with a maximum of 2 recycled units per member. Pick up your certificate March 1st through April 21st to receive a $60 credit for each unit on your electric bill. Plus, Empire Electric will pay the recycling fees. Drop-off will be available Monday through Thursday from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. The deadline for picking up a certificate is Friday, April 21st by 11:30 a.m. For more info or to request a certificate by mail, call 970-565-4444 or 800-709-3726. And here's something you may not know about. There is a Four Corners Community Band. New members are welcome. They practice from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. tonight, Monday, March 13th, at the First Baptist Church in Cortez at Market and North Streets. For details, call 882-2522 or go to their website at fourcornerscommunityband.com. All of the happenings are posted up on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the embedded YouTube replays, weather and original stories, and local posts. To share your event or information, contact us at the DCTV News at Noon Facebook page or at dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station here at 677-4119 and we'll be sure to get your news on air.
Thanks for tuning in. This program airs live at noon Monday through Wednesday, then is rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m., and again re-aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 2:30, and 8 p.m.
6 p.m.
No, 6 p.m.
We are also featuring a live call-in show called Talk Tuesday. It's aired live Tuesday evenings at 5:30 p.m. and then rebroadcast throughout the week at 5:30. Tuesday, March 14th, the studio guest will be DC Schools Superintendent Bruce Hankins, updating us on the school projects and the upcoming emergency drill that is scheduled for Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. The call-in number is 677-4119, live on Tuesday. Be sure to check out our Facebook page. It has all the links and details with original stories and the video replays. Please like us there and share the link.
For Kendra Cook, Jerry Tope, and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.